WolfPack Nation. Hope everybody's doing well today. So excited today for another episode. I think today's going to be a really fun one of a two-part series here where we're going to kind of stay away from necessarily the discussions or an interview and more just kind of get some questions here from NC State fans, talk about them, discuss them. And then for part two, we're actually going to be doing some NC State sports trivia. And I basically put these questions together. Mackie and Michael here don't know the questions. So we'll see what if they can get them right. And also, too, hey, you guys can enjoy them as well and see if you know the answers as well. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. But before we get rolling, make sure, again, to hit that subscribe button. It really helps support us in the channel. And also give this video a like. As it really helps us as well. And then check out all of our great NC State content. Again, we got all our things State fans never say, but we've been doing our previews of women's basketball, men's basketball, and wrestling. And also, too, just give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't already to stay up with all the latest, and what's going on in NC State world. So first question, I guess, is more of what I was trying to get at that we got. So from In-Game 14 Alpha, and he kind of put it as this, but I think I'll kind of transition it a little bit to maybe more of a better discussion question, which he basically said, who would win in the would-be ACC championship games of NC State versus Pitt, Wake Forest versus Pitt, Clemson versus Pitt, or UNC versus, oh wait, they're not bowl eligible, which
Oh darn, that was good.
Like to them. So, but maybe kind of a better way to kind of phrase it. So if Pitt, because from the length, there's three guys: Clemson, NC State, and us. Clemson, NC State, and Wake Forest. Sorry. And so, who do you guys think would, like, if Pitt played all three of those? Who do you think Pitt would beat? Who do you think Pitt would lose to, as of right now? Like, if those teams were to face. So, maybe I'll hand it over to you first, kind of on your thoughts, and then Michael, you can follow up.
So you specifically you want us to go matchup by matchup? Who would win?
So basically, of NC State, Clemson, and Wake Forest, who do you think Pitt would beat? Who do you think they would lose to?
Man, you know what? I haven't heard these questions, so I'm thinking these through in my head right now.
Yep.
I would, when I watch Pitt lately, it's hard to really figure out what they are, because they've lost to Western Michigan and Miami, both very different teams, and lost, and very different skill levels and lost, or talent level, I should say. But then with Carolina, they were blowing them out in the first half, and then almost blew it in the second half.
Yeah,
and I get Carolina's explosive, which Miami, when Pitt played Miami, that's when Miami was at their most explosive. So if they were having to play Wake Forest, I think it would be a closer game than people would think. I think Pitt would win because of Pitt's defense. I actually take it back. I think it's more actually more their offense was why I would think they would win, because I don't think Wake Forest's defense is so great. I know they still let us score 42 points on them, and they let a lot of people score on them. And that was our highest scoring game of the season. I think Pitt would beat Wake Forest. If Pitt played State, I think Pitt would beat us. And the main reason why I say that is because of our injuries right now. We are very injured. We have a lot of injuries going on right now. To where I just don't think we could really compete I don't think we'd win that game. Let's put it that way. I think the injuries would mount up in that case. Clemson is what intrigues me, because Clemson's starting to get healthy, and their defense, I believe, will be able to stop Pitt. But Pitt's already beat Clemson. Yeah. So I would almost argue, because I've seen them do it, that Pitt would beat Clemson. It's hard to say. I think who is the team that they would most likely lose to? Man, that's hard to. I don't know. You got the explosive offense of Wake Forest, which I can't. Those words even come out of my mouth. But then you've got their terrible defense. Then you've got us, who are balanced on probably the most balanced team in ACC. Yet we're struggling running the ball, and I think that, and then I think of Clemson, who still has it's probably one of the most underrated and disrespected teams in the country, but they're getting healthy at the right time. So they got Will Shipley back, and they're starting to figure that their offense out.
Yep.
So yeah, I think
Skalski's
Pitt would win all
getting
three.
healthy,
I
too.
think Pitt would win all those three matchups.
Wow. Yep. Michael, got anything to follow up?
I would say Pitt over Wake Forest and over us, like what Macon said. I mean, just injuries, and I think Pitt has I think Kenny Pickett is better than Sam Hartman, and we had trouble stopping Wake's offense. I do think Clemson would win a second time around. I know they've already beat them. It is hard to beat a team twice, and like you said, Clemson's getting healthier. And
I was torn. I agree. I agree. I don't think you're wrong. You very well be right. They're getting healthy, and I agree. That's why I'm torn about that one.
Yeah,
which is good for our chances for them beating Wake.
But now, having said that, I think all four teams could win on any given night.
Yeah,
it just depends on which way the coin flips, and State, as injury ridden as State is, they could win against all three teams. They just haven't done so yet.
It's when we've said this a couple of different times about how it's great that we are having this conversation. I do truly think this is another opportunity where I think it's a great thing that we are having this discussion, because usually it's been Clemson's dominating everybody, and it's just who gets to lose to them. That's pretty much all it's been over the last years. And so for us to be talking this year about Clemson, Wake Forest, Pitt, and you could even maybe argue even Miami right now has been doing really good. Like if they had Tyler Van Dyke the whole season, they probably would be right in the middle with Pitt as well.
Right.
Now that we've seen what Tyler Van Dyke can do. And so, you easily got 5 or 6 teams. You could probably even add another one maybe from the Coastal, if you really kind of think about it.
Technically, Virginia isn't out of it. If they beat Pitt, they win the Coastal, but their defense Brennan Armstrong. Without him and without Brennan Armstrong, it's not going to happen. But
and also too, they don't have any kind of defense at all. They have no defense.
Well, we said the same thing about Wake Forest, and they're still winning.
True. Well, in Wake Forest, definitely has shown signs of improvement or signs of defense, skill level. But again, I think that Virginia has shown throughout the season that definitely defense is a lacking thing for them. But again, I guess my point being is that it's great that we're able to have this conversation now. If you were asking me this, I would say that if Pitt could beat Clemson twice, that would be very impressive, especially too because I think that if Clemson were to make it to the championship game, that Clemson fans would show out for sure. So it would be a tough environment for sure in Charlotte, because Clemson fans would at least triple the Pitt fans that would show up to Charlotte. So that would be crazy, and if Kenny Pickett could pull off. So I would say I don't think they could beat Clemson twice, and kind of what you were saying, Macon and Michael as well about the health wise, but also too, I think if they were to play us, it's kind of you got to take the homer out of it, and I would say first of all it would be a great game. I think it would be a really great game, and I think it'd be really really close. So I would say, and same thing with Wake Forest. Honestly, you could just coin flip both of those, honestly. So, but if I'm gonna stick to one, I would say that they would beat Wake Forest, and beat us. I guess I'll just say it that. But I'm saying that more not to come off as a homer. But do I think that we could beat Pitt? Yes, but it's literally a coin flip. Honestly, I couldn't really tell you. So,
I agree.
So kind of moving on here. So Benjamin Ormond wanted to bring up that 2 of the best coaches in the ACC square off in the Carter against one another this weekend. Which so basically you're saying Dave Dorn and Dabo Sweeney. I'm sorry,
Dino Babers.
Dino Babers. Sorry, the other D. Yeah, that's another thing too. There's Dave Clawson, Dino Babers, Dabo Sweeney, Dave Dorn. All these D names and coaches.
That is strange.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time wearing and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. Do you guys predict after the season that heading into next season, Dino Babers will be the head coach of Syracuse?
I think so. I mean, I think they've looked decent this year. They seem to have a decent QB in Schrader, and obviously Sean Tucker's one of the top running backs in the ACC, if not the country. I think he's got a foundation there.
Yeah, I would say that Babers has done enough with Syracuse this year with what you expect out of Syracuse to stay around another year. There's a few other coaches I think that will leave, but in the ACC, but I don't think Babers is going to be one of them. If they do kick Babers to the curb, then that tells me that Syracuse is not going to be playing around. They are serious about trying to go and get better. The thing is, though, I don't know who would want to come coach at Syracuse. So if he's right there and he's building it and you've got a guy you can build around with Sean Tucker, do it. Go hit the transfer market. Go get if Schrader's the guy moving forward, you'd be around. It's great. I think he's safe. I think he's safe.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
unless he blows the rest of the season.
Well, because that's the thing is so they play at State and then they host Pitt. So and in order to get to a bowl game, they have to win one of those. And so more likely,
I don't know,
statistically saying that they're probably not going to make it to a bowl game unless they pull a big upset. If they beat Pitt or beat us, that'd be a big upset. And so I don't know. I would not be surprised. Let's put it that way. I would not be surprised if I saw on Twitter that some news popped up that Dino Babers was not with Syracuse anymore. But they just paid this guy a lot of money. They just signed him to a long contract. So, and again, I think just like you were saying, Macon, I mean, I just don't really know. Again, they're not a football school, or they haven't been I mean, I know they have a tradition, obviously, with number 44, but that was 50 years ago, and
a long time ago.
Yeah, and so it's just I'm not sure, but again, we'll see about that. So kind of moving on to the next one.
Well, let me add this real quick before we head on real quick. I was looking at because you mentioned with Dino Babers, we seem to be on the fence. I was just looking up while we were talking about this, what his contract is, because that's a factor too. And we forget, just 2018, he had a 10-win season. And I can't imagine that's happened in a long time for Syracuse. So he's had his contract extension he got was in 2019, right after that season. And I think it runs through 2024. And he just got paid recently, I thought, $3.5 million. So I don't believe they're going to cut him because of some financial stuff too.
Yeah.
He's done enough. He's done some historical stuff there already. He's got a young group he's building around, and the contract.
Because he's shown signs of life this season, which is why I do truly. If I were to predict, I would say that he will be, but I wouldn't be. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised either. So because again, I mean, he has done some good things. He has done some good stuff this season, but he's also shown some really what's going on. And then again, for him to go from a 10-win season to possibly this year, 3 years later, going 5-7. I mean, I completely understand kind of maybe why Syracuse maybe might think, I don't know if we're heading in the right direction right now. It seems like we're kind of going backwards a little bit.
I think he'll have to do something State did, because Dave Doran just seemed like he would never, he could never let go of Dave Huxtable. And that was was like an Achilles heel for us for a while. I think Dino Babers is going to have to take a step in his coaching career, within his coaching career, take the next step in saying, okay, I'm going to have to cut some guys because defense is not getting it done. And he's got the pieces. I mean, they've got one of their linebackers, I think, is one of the best defensive players in the ACC. I can't remember his name, but I'll have to look it up. But he's, I think he might have to make some cuts this season to show, look, I'm not just going to keep my guys around. I see the problems you guys see. I'm going to make the changes I need to make. That's what I think he'll need to do to keep the fans in it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think he's got enough to bank on. Schrader's a sophomore. Sean Tucker's a freshman. I didn't realize that.
True freshman. Yeah.
And Sean Tucker. He sends out some great tweets. After the Louisville game, he said, "We lost Saturday. Louisville 41, Syracuse 3. I'm okay with my performance, but I wanted to do more. I'm not happy with the outcome, so I plan to grind harder this week."
Yeah, very bland.
It's like a template.
Straightforward, yeah.
Well, I know.
That's what I'm saying. It's really like a template.
So funny.
He just like copies and pastes and fills in like the blanks, like
Yeah.
it's like the Mad Lib, I think is what, that was called.
The
Mad
guy
Lib,
I'm
where you
thinking
just
of
use a
on
template, you just fill
Syracuse's
in.
team that I could remember is Cody Roscoe. He's a defensive line.
Linebacker?
Oh. Defensive lineman, Cody Roscoe. He is a senior, so he's about done. But yeah.
So, and by the way, too, obviously we're recording this on November 15th. So this was, so when I say this weekend, it was actually this previous game that just happened. So the next question was kind of interesting is, so who's NC State's dream football coach and why is it Phillip Rivers? I thought that was funny.
Absolutely not.
Well, again, I mean,
I'm joking. I'm joking, but I'm also serious. Like, you see how many times have coaches gone to their schools, no matter what the sport is, and just are abysmal. Like, we've had the Sidney Lowe experiment. You see what's happening at Nebraska with Scott Frost. I'm trying to think of some other coaches who've done that off the top of my head.
Well, the one scenario which is a definite possibility, which would be quite interesting, is Deion Sanders to Florida State.
As a head coach, you think that would really go well?
No, I'm not saying go well. It would just be interesting because, I mean, he's been a head coach now at Jackson State.
Look at Dre Bly at UNC. Dre Bly at UNC is a corners coach, and they're kind of playing average.
Right.
I mean, I get it. I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, the coach's experiment to me, I don't like doing that. You're right. Deion Sanders to FSU, that would be interesting. It'd be exciting.
I'm not saying it would work. But I mean, it's not a far cry. Like, Phillip Rivers would be our football coach. That's a far cry. I mean, that's like, holy smokes, that is like scraping the bottom of the barrel. If we have to hire Phillip Rivers, but
it's one thing if you're the guy is like an established coach and has been coaching for a while. Like right now, Rivers has just started coaching high school. Like Dabo. I mean, he went to Alabama, and like if they were to get him, I think he would do great at Alabama. Eventually, if Nick Saban retires and they wanted him and he, for whatever reason, left Clemson, I think he would do fine because he has that track record of being such a great coach before. But yeah.
So I don't want to go too deep into this, but I just want to hear what y'all's answers is. So give it to me in 5 seconds or less. When Nick Saban retires, is Dabo going to Alabama? Yes or no?
It depends on who's around him.
Maybe.
Is he going to be a top candidate? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But the thing is, though, I will say this. Dabo is built. He could argue he's the greatest coach Clemson's ever had, and he's built Clemson. Do you want to change? Do you want to go somewhere after Nick Saban? I don't know if I'd want to.
Right. Yeah.
So I say that he'll be a top candidate. I don't know if I would leave if I went to a school that I've won a national championship and I've played in a couple and I've built it from the ground up essentially, and not trying to get like blasphemous or anything, but like he's like, he's like, they worship the ground he walks on for the most part. And it's like,
right.
It's like, why would you leave? I could snap my fingers and get a contract extension if I wanted to. And I have the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. And I've got all these guys, 5 stars coming in, and I can still recruit North Carolina. I can still recruit Florida and Georgia and Virginia. I'm not leaving.
No.
Right.
There's too much pressure in Alabama.
No, and I agree with you. But again, I mean, the one thing which I will say again with Dabo is, I mean, I agree that then the legacy that he has at Clemson is too much. But again, I just thought that was, I mean, let's put it this way.
Question.
The day that Nick Saban retires, there should be an over under of how many times this ESPN and sports channels like talk about Dabo Swinney being a candidate.
Lane Kiffin will be a consideration.
Job. Well, I mean, again,
I get it. I don't think Nick Saban's going to retire. I get it
recently, but I hear you.
Yeah, he's got 7 more years on that contract, which I assume, unless he really decides to
I'd be
retire
curious to know
early,
who would be
he'll
the other
fulfill that
options.
contract.
Would it be like a guy? I don't know. It'd have to be at a
It's-
school.
It's so far down the
it's-
road, it's hard to
Like
say.
a James Franklin,
I
like a
would-
James
Dabo.
Franklin, although he's probably
Yeah.
going to USC or
Mm,
LSU. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking like
Yeah, exactly,
who's
like-
up there? Ryan Day at Ohio State.
Maybe.
yeah. Again,
Who's the guy at Michigan State? Who's the guy at Michigan State right now?
I would compare
Mel
it to
Tucker.
the Duke basketball hiring, but obviously that hiring just happened and obviously was way less dramatic than we thought it was going to be. But like if I didn't know that Shire was going to be the head coach, I would have said that it was kind of that level where I mean it's going to be tough. Like you're not going to replace Coach K.
And-
you're not going to replace Nick Saban. So
And I don't think it's fair to
Um,
another coach to be like, you have to come in and do exactly what he's doing. So, like, to me, the John Shire approach was like, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense a little bit because if you're thinking like, okay, for the better of the program for years to come, a little bit,
mhm.
it's going to be hard. You can't follow up. You're not going to be a Mike Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
There will be a drop off
it-
to a degree. How much is going to be
Yeah.
what's going to be key? Like I thought Duke. I mean, you're not trying to get into basketball too much. Like, y'all know I love basketball. I thought they should have gone to somebody like Brad Stevens, like who's kind of struggling in the NBA, and now could come back. Well, I say struggling. He's got Jason Tatum, and
He's the GM now, isn't
he was not doing. I don't know if he's GM, but he was not doing great as a coach. He was doing average,
Oh.
and
Mhm.
I thought that would be a perfect kind of fit for Duke. I know Mike Krzyzewski had said that the number one guy he was looking for years ago, he said the only coach he could see coaching after him was Johnny Dawkins, who's played for Coach K. Johnny Dawkins ended up coaching at Stanford, I believe. And I just never could see Johnny Dawkins coaching there. But yeah, I feel like somebody like Alabama should try to go make a splash because they're Alabama.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting though.
It'll be good. So with that being said, I think we've unfortunately have run out of time, but again, make sure to tune in with us for part 2 as we'll have another fun segment where we're going to be doing some NC State trivia and having some fun with that. So make sure to tune in with us for that episode, but make sure again to hit that subscribe button to really help support us in the channel. Please like this video as it really helps support us as well. And also to make sure to check out all of our great NC State content and give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But thank you all so much again for tuning in. As always, go Pack, y'all.